Usually when I tell people my story, I try to be very considerate and not tell them very much because it's overwhelming to other people. And I even have people who don't quite believe everything I've said, that maybe I've made some things up. And sometimes I start to think that maybe I've made it up. Then I go back and I'll read my journals and I'll realize it's much worse than I even remember it. I was taught as a child that the most important thing God wanted from me was obedience. And that meant that I was to be obedient even if it went against my natural feelings, even if it was wrong and I knew it to be wrong. I was married to a man 20 years older than me who already had a wife and 6 kids. And I'm 16, I'm still a child. And I'm trying to go fit into their family and trying to be an adult and, you know, be a mom and be whatever I was supposed to be. I didn't, you know, and then just to be married, to be living as husband and wife with someone who didn't really love you. He told me he didn't love me. He told me he never would love me as much as he loved his other wives, and he never supported me. I was usually living in somebody's house or, you know, on the good graces of somebody else. Towards the end, he was really, became more and more abusive, probably because I challenged him more and more. But it came to the kind of climax to the point where we were at a baseball game and somebody else called the cops on him, and I guess that's the first time I ever realized that that was wrong, that maybe it wasn't my fault. When I think back, I can narrow it down what really propelled me to leave to one incident. I was in my bedroom and some of my older kids were in there, and I looked at my 8-year-old daughter and I just realized, it just hit me that in about 8 more years, my life would be her life, that I would be passing on everything I was dealing with, everything I was going through. I was just paving the road for her to do the exact same thing. And I just looked at her, and her life sort of passed before my eyes, and I just knew right then I couldn't ask her to do it. I could never ask one of my children to suffer the way I had. So I just decided then and there I was going to leave. But, you know, it took a while after that to leave. But that was the deciding moment. That's when I just said, that's it, and I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I am. When I left, it felt like I was jumping off a building, and I didn't know if there was anyone down below to catch me. When I left, I was so bad off emotionally and physically. I didn't know if I would live to see another year. I had not been given any medical attention my entire life, so it was part of the religious doctrine. I was told that I was faking it. I was told that I was making things up. When I was into the neurologist's office, among other things, I was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. And that actually was such a huge relief to me to find out I had something, that I wasn't making it up, that I wasn't faking, because I honestly started believing that. I would have returned. It was too hard, and I would have gone back. The one reason I didn't go back is because I happened to, at about the same time I was leaving, I happened to meet somebody in one of the same buildings I was working, and he was just a tremendous emotional strength. When I left with 5 kids, I was not about to bring another man into the situation because I didn't think another man could love my kids or treat my kids well, so I just wouldn't, I didn't even consider another man. So the fact that this man came into my life was just a miracle in itself, because I was really rude to him and I wanted nothing to do with him, and he actually pursued me. And when he told me he loved me, I told him to shut up because I didn't believe him. And I said, I have 5 kids. And he said, then I love your 5 kids. And I said, you haven't even met my 5 kids. He said, well, if I love you, I love your 5 kids. And I said, if you love me, then you would marry me. And he said, well, then let's get married. And I said, well, then where's my ring? So we went and got my ring. We're married today, of course, and he's adopted my 5 kids. But if it wasn't for him, yeah, I would have gone back. I couldn't have done it on my own. I just watched my kids just grow so attached to him, not just attached to him, just have so much respect for him, because they would see, I mean, he would go to work. He had 2 3 jobs so that he could support them. For a man that has gone deliberately his whole life being a bachelor and not attaching himself to anyone, to all of a sudden have 5 children and be their father is just incredible. And he was a father in ways that they had never experienced, because their biological father, of course, he didn't worry about whether they had food to eat. He didn't worry about if their teeth were taken care of. He didn't worry about if they had shoes that fit or if they had birthday presents. He didn't worry about any of that. And so to have somebody come in their life that actually cared, they started calling him Dad on their own. Nobody asked him to or even encouraged him to. They just started calling him Dad because he became a dad to them. I don't think I've lost sight of that. My most important focus is to make sure my kids have their feet firmly on the ground, that they have what they need. It's just the most important thing for me is that my kids not only have their freedom, but realize what that freedom means, realize what they can do with their freedom, realize that there are no limits for them. I think if each of my kids know what they want and, have their own reasons for doing what they're doing, that's good enough for me. I look back and I still wonder how I did it, and I still wonder why I did it, and I still wonder how I'm doing it today. And the only answer I ever have was God. He rescued me and He put me on my feet, and He loves my kids more than I do. He sent the person in my life that I needed. Everything from my house to where my kids are today, to the cars we drive, to the job that Renee has, to everything that we have. I can't attribute it anywhere else.